This is We the Sales Engineers podcast, show 248.
Welcome to We the SEs podcast, the show for sales engineers by sales engineers with your host, Ramsey Majaba.
What's up, SE Nation? Welcome back to another episode. I appreciate you being here as usual. And again, it's a solo show. I've been wanting to do some solo shows for a while, so I guess I'm packing them all up together right now. And we'll get back to interviews shortly. Cheers. In case you weren't watching, I just took a sip of water. I am on YouTube, so if you want to check me out on YouTube, and in case you didn't know me, my name is Ramsey Majaba. I am a sales engineer out of Ottawa, Canada, and I help aspiring sales engineers and sales engineers achieve their goals, whatever they are, whether it's to find a job, change jobs, or improve as sales engineers. So today is a little bit more of an advanced topic, and I was invited by my good friend, Jan-Erik. He's a manager at SAP. He invited me to talk to quite a few number of people, which I really enjoyed, and I thank Jan for it. If you don't know who Jan is, he's been on the podcast a few times. He also has his own podcast with Tim Bron, and you should check that out. It's called the Sales Excellence Podcast. But the topic of my talk that I did with SAP was called Never Apologize, which is a bit of a controversial topic. Jan was kind of iffy, let's just put it that way, about that topic, but he was still willing to let me in and hear what I had to say and, figure it out, see if I have any merit to what I'm saying or not. So this was a presentation. I am not going to present anything. If you're listening on whatever podcast tool, leave a review and leave a rating. But you don't have to switch to YouTube, although you're more than welcome to if you wish. So again, the topic is called, or the talk was called, Never Apologize and 5 Steps to Convert a Pissed Off Customer. As sales engineers, we deal with a lot of people, and through our dealings, some might get angry at us for multiple reasons. It's just things happen. And I'm going to share a story that happened with me specifically. So I'm working with a customer. It's an existing customer. We've known him for a while. And a series of unfortunate events happened. And we had unrelated issues crop up all at the same time. No product is perfect. If anyone tells you that their product is perfect and you never need to call support, they most likely don't have a support team, or they're lying. So things happen, and the customer was getting upset. I mean, things have been going on for a while, then another thing popped up, and we got this nasty email from the customer. It wasn't targeted towards the sales team, but it was targeted towards the company. So, and he vented. He CC'd everybody. He CC'd my manager. He CC'd the support. He CC'd a lot of different people, basically saying that he hates us in every way, shape, or form. And his last words on the emails are, Ramsey, if you have any questions, call me. Now, I did not have any questions. I did not want to talk to this gentleman, mainly because he's in a very bad mood, and whoever wants to talk to someone in a very bad mood. So I did call him because, logically speaking, that makes sense. Someone's pissed off, tells you, call me if you have any questions. You don't want to talk to them. You don't want to have anything to do with them. What do? You call them. And the first thing I said was, Mr. Customer, you sound frustrated. And that was it. I said that, and the customer spoke for 15 minutes nonstop, just venting. I didn't have to say anything for that entire time. He just vented. He talked. He said a lot of things. I mean, you guys suck. He said that. Quality's going downhill. That's his perception. I disagree, but that's what he's seeing. Who am I to say no? There is no way I'm the only customer complaining. He was. Not because he's in a unique situation, not because he's not aware of what's going on. Just he has a very unique situation. So he was the only customer complaining because of his situation. I'm giving up on you. I'm going to the competition. He actually said those things. So then after he said for 15 minutes, he paused. I said nothing. I just continued to say nothing. I just shut up. And then he started repeating the same thing again. Because when you give someone enough time, when you pause and you don't try to jump in, you're not trying to defend, you just pause, they're going to fill in the gap. They're going to fill in the silence. And he went back to filling in the silence. And after maybe 5 minutes of going over the few things, you can hear his anger reducing. So here are the 5 steps that I took throughout this call. And generally speaking, you can use with any customer that is angry. It doesn't have to be through one call, it can be through email. But the first thing to do is breathe. I saw that email and I immediately just started scratching my head, rubbing my head, trying to give myself a concussion so I don't have to talk to that person. But I had to. So I took a deep breath. And my plan wasn't to argue with them. My plan was just to listen. So I planned my first few words. And it was, Mr. Customer, you sound angry. Or you sound frustrated. Not angry. I said frustrated. Angry seems to have a negative connotation. Frustrated is you're justified in frustration. It's whatever. So I breathed because I didn't want to be angry, personally. I breathed because I didn't want to be emotional, whatever that emotion is in general. I planned my first words, and that helped me when I picked up the phone to call the customer. That helped me remain even keel. If the customer is going all over the place, rightfully so, or not rightfully so, in my case, rightfully so, someone has to be the voice of reason. If he's emotional and I'm emotional, nothing's going to happen. If I'm going to be defending my product from the get-go, it's like, take it easy. I mean, I learned this from my wife, or because of my wife, never to tell her to calm down when she's pissed off. And same goes to me. If she tells me to calm down when I'm pissed off, that doesn't really help. So, and then we both get emotional. So just do not rush to anger and keep breathing. As he's talking, as he's saying all these nasty things, he didn't say nasty things to me, but he was angry about the customer. So about the product or the issues that he's facing. I just kept breathing. That's the only thing I can do. And I think the thing that helped me with this situation, reduce the situation, is it allowed me to confront it head on. If I had, like, I called him right after I saw that email. If I wanted to call him like in a couple hours or the next day, he would be fuming that entire time. That 15 minutes he spent talking to me and venting, he would be just playing it over and over in his head, over and over for the next 2 days. And when it's time to come and talk to me, it's 2 days worth of frustration versus calling right away and nip it in the bud. But doing that allowed me to confront, allowed me to not be afraid of what's going to happen. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to get yelled at, we're going to hang up, and that's the end of it. The best that could happen is I salvage a possible opportunity, which was on the line. The second thing I did was I labeled his feelings. And this is something I learned from Chris Voss. And he talks about mirroring. So Chris Voss is the author of Never Split the Difference. If you haven't read that book, read that book. If you don't like to read books, fair. Listen to his podcast. He's been on many podcasts, from Bigger Pockets podcast to Jocko podcast. There hasn't been a podcast he hasn't been on, and I think he's coming up with a new book, which is why he's on a lot of podcasts. But he mirrors, he paraphrases, and he labels. He mentions that empathy is understanding but not agreeing. So I showed a lot of empathy to my customer, but I did not agree with anything that he said. But I was able to, as soon as I said, "You sound frustrated," I could feel him relaxing. I'll open up the door for him to actually open up. And I didn't try to talk over him. I just let him be. So I labeled whatever he was going through. And I listened. I listened for a long time. I listened in complete silence. So I didn't try to say anything negative, anything positive. I didn't try to say you're right. I didn't try to say you're wrong. I did not agree. I did not disagree. I just stayed silent. I did not defend, and I tried to absorb all the information that he was spewing on me. And I don't mean spewing in a negative way. He's just, there's a lot of things that he was talking about. And I did not forget to breathe. I kept breathing throughout the whole time, because when someone's angry on the other call, it's basically inviting you to be angry, whether you agree with him or not. I know, like, a lot of people tell me about a situation where they're facing some difficulties and they're angry, and I can feel myself getting angry, and then I have to remember to breathe. So again, always, not point number one is do that throughout the entire session. Breathe. Don't forget to breathe. And pause. So throughout listening, they talk about, like, hey, pause, paraphrase or repeat whatever the customer said. When someone's angry and someone's doing what, like, he vented for 15 minutes, I'm not going to paraphrase what he just said for 15 minutes. But I just paused. I provided a 15-second pause. It felt like a long time. I didn't say a word, though. And then the customer took over and kept going. I mentioned that earlier. He repeated the same things, just with less anger, with less frustration. And by the end of him repeating everything again, I could hear him being calm. It's like all the energy got zapped out of him. It's like if you live in Canada and you stay out in the cold for a long time, it's that. You just feel it going out. Then after that, so step number 4 is assure. Throughout the call, at the end of the call, after he, well, not the end, after the end of his speech, let's just put it that way, I told him that I'm frustrated too. I mean, I didn't agree with him, but I'm frustrated for his frustration. I'm frustrated that he's seeing these problems. I feel for him. I showed him empathy. And then the question was, all right, so how can we help that customer? Right? There are some things that you can solve within half a day, and some things that take a long time. And when you're dealing with technical issues, they usually take a long time in most cases. It's not, especially in the industry that I'm in, they have to create a new application, new firmware, new software, and a lot of new things. But what can I do to actually help the customer? In my case, I got him on a call with engineering. That's based on knowing my customer. My customer doesn't like to talk to salespeople. He doesn't like to talk to managers. He likes to talk to engineers because he feels kindredness, I guess. Although he's not an engineer, he just feels like engineers don't bullshit their way out of things. So throughout the call, after the call, I promised him some actions. I was saying before I got rudely interrupted by my phone, we kind of need to promise something to the customer. We're going to promise a solution. We're going to figure it out. I promised to get him on a call with the engineer because he likes talking to engineers. I also promised him a call with product managers because he was talking about quality of the product. So I wanted the product manager to hear it. I can't do much as a sales engineer about quality, although the quality is very good. If someone's listening and looking to buy from our company, please do. The quality is very good. Every product has problems. We do very well with our quality. But that being said, so we promised him what we're going to do, a solution, and we promised action. And I promised him 2 meetings. Meetings are not fun, but sometimes they're necessary to bring down to show the customer some love. Let's just put it that way. And even as sales engineers, sometimes we just have to do things that are not necessarily technical. It's just, hey, we're having one technical meeting to figure out what the problem is. We knew what the problem was, but we wanted to hear from the customer again. And we then did another meeting so that he can talk about the quality with the product manager. And we can't do much as sales engineers or salespeople. So we promised those. And then the step after that, the last step is we want to partner. Now, I've talked to many people. I've talked to many salespeople, many sales engineers, and their initial reaction to almost anything where the customer is upset about something that went wrong is to apologize. The reason I don't like apologizing is because it puts us on the defensive, whether we're right or wrong. If I did something egregiously wrong, like I sold the customer the wrong product, I told them this will solve your problems, and it does not. Okay. But there are some things that are just out of everybody's control. And the more you work with customers, the more you'll find that you didn't discover this little thing that can cause problems, or they're looking for something specific that they never mentioned in the past, and now they're angry at you because you didn't read their mind. These are things that I will not apologize for. But what I will do is partner with customers and make sure that they understand that we're working together. We promised you this, we'll get you what you need. And then we'll follow up on the action items that we mentioned that we're going to mention. We mentioned that we're going to do. So never apologizing is not about like, hey, I'm always right. No, sometimes you're wrong. Sometimes bad things happen. But in the end, you and the customer are working together towards the same goal. And that's what I tell my customers, like, hey, Mr. Customer, or Mrs. Customer in some cases, I know that we're going through a rough patch right now. You were expecting this, and we didn't deliver that. We delivered this. And it seems that there was some miscommunication about what we're going to deliver. And we want to work with you long term. We want you to be successful. We have the same goals as you, which is for you to be successful. And I'm not like, this is genuinely true. If my customer is not successful, they're not going to call me again whenever they need something. So I really want them to be successful. So I'm not apologizing. I'm working with you to solve this problem. Now, as we go through our relationship, things will happen. Bad things, mistakes, bugs, whatever it is. A lot of things can pop up as we're working together. And the goal is not to do this every time something bad happens. I don't want to have to go jump through all these hoops every time something bad happens, because then it's not a partnership. It doesn't make me want to work with you. Now, you might not want to say all this, but I've said it to several customers, like, hey, the goal is for us to work together. Things will happen. And when those happen, I want you to bring them to my attention and know that I have your best interest, that I will work for you. You don't have to threaten me. You don't have to yell at me. Nobody likes to be yelled at. No one likes to know that no one likes to have made a mistake, not know that they made a mistake. No one likes to make mistakes. And if I find out that I made a mistake, I will do everything in my power to fix it. I haven't met a single SE who doesn't do the same thing. I mean, maybe there are out there, but I don't know of them. So that's why I don't like to apologize. I guess I should have started with that at the beginning. But I always tell people that if we're on the same side, we don't need to apologize. Again, unless you did something egregiously wrong. My wife, she's okay, but she was in an accident a couple of days ago. She got rear-ended. The car is totaled. She's apologizing to me because now we don't have a car, or we're trying to figure out the situation. And in my head, it's like, but you cannot have controlled the situation. That is something that's out of your hands. There is no need to apologize. The goal is to work together to solve the problem. So just think about it this way. If you apologize, it's your fault. If you partner, doesn't matter whose fault it is. You're just trying to solve the problem. And that's it. It's a short one, the presentation took longer because I like to take questions or like to interact with the audience a lot more than I can do in a solo podcast. But these are my thoughts. Let me know what your thoughts are. If you're looking for a speaker as well, hey, reach out to me. I would love to talk to your people and help your people out. So that's all there is to it. With that, I'm signing off.